All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Dragonfly Engineering. So we're going to show a live startup of the dual shot molding machine and everything associated with getting it going for a production run. So right now the machine is off, and we've got what I call the gasket mold, which is a polypropylene part with a rubber over mold. So we're going to be spinning the mold and over molding rubber onto polypropylene. All right, so step one is to come back here and turn on the machine. So we've got the power split for the heaters and the motor. Basically, we just flip both of these on. And then back here is our bucket of polypropylene, which I need to replenish. And this is the vacuum hose, which goes up to the auto loader, which is up there. And so this is the first shot for the first injection unit. And then if we go around, actually we don't need to go around, but see that bucket, that black bucket right there? That has the rubber in it, which are pellets as well. And that'll get sucked up through this hose to the second injection unit, auto loader. This
So
is the one back there.
whenever you're running double shot, you got 2 heating units, 2 plastic vacuum lines feeding both of those
Yep.
injectors. Okay, got it.
So we need to make sure that our loaders are powered up. So you'll have to come in here and the screen says standby because these were already turned on. What's up, Sierra? Be quiet. So if those are not on, I can show you right now.
Yeah.
Like if it's unplugged, then you turn it on. You see the green light here,
Yeah,
and it'll do a little startup.
Oh, I see. I see the top one coming on.
Okay, and then you hit just on off,
Oh, okay.
and it'll say standby.
Yeah, it's in standby.
And then when this sensor sees that there's no more plastic in this glass column,
Yeah.
it'll turn on the vacuum and suck more pellets into it.
Right now it says full and then blinking loading.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
So it's in loading mode, which is the same as that.
status as the other one.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
I guess it'll say standby or full.
Okay.
Sometimes the plastic gets kind of jammed up in the hose, and it'll try to suck and it can't, so it'll start beeping.
Oh, what's the error for whenever it tries to suck and it can't?
I'm not sure what it says, but it just,
There's a red light that comes on somewhere?
yeah, the orange light will flash and it'll have this loud beeping sound,
Yeah, okay.
and you can either shut off the thing or just clear the hose. You kind of have to pick up the hose and shake it so that the jam comes out.
I guess whenever the vacuum turns on, if it's unsuccessful, the vacuum, I will notice that as well, right? It'll just not pull.
It'll try a couple of times,
Okay.
and then if it can't, then it will give an alarm.
Okay, cool. Got it.
Yeah, so that's the hopper. You see our rubber pellets in that one and polypropylene in this one.
Yeah, I see that.
Mold heater. This is the Dragonfly made heater. The cover is not bolted on, but at least it's covered up. So to plug that in, we come over here to our 3-phase plug, 230 volt 3-phase.
All right.
Plug it in and twist it.
Twist it. Yep, check. Okay, where's the on-off for that?
For
that power.
Oh, it's in the circuit breaker behind that little fake tree.
Oh, is it automatic on, or do I need to flip the circuit?
It's on all the time.
All right, got it.
And
Oh,
we're
okay,
only,
so everything came on and we've got lights everywhere.
yeah,
All right.
yeah, and when I shut this thing off, I just unplug it.
Oh, okay.
There is a power switch, but I think the power switch has issues anyway.
Got it.
Anyway, so right now A1 is the A side of mold 1. And you see these heaters are bolted to the side of the mold.
One of these is A and the other one's B?
Yeah, this is the A side and this is the B side.
Oh, A and B. Okay. And then what's the other one? Oh, that's
That
2?
is A2 and B2.
B2,
But we're only heating this one.
Oh, and so you have like a little one right there, so I know.
Well, not really, because
Oh.
these are duplicates, so they spin around, and they both access
okay.
these molds.
Okay, so you just have to know that this is 1 and this is 2, and then these guys will rotate. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And this is not OSHA approved, so don't touch, because that's live. So, and it's hot. This is hot, and it may shock you.
Ah, great.
So
Okay,
be careful.
noted.
All right, so when we start up with the high TN molding machine, it always says problem with sensor of zone 4. And I'm checking that the back door is closed. Usually if there's an error, the back door is open, which is a safety interlock.
Okay.
But when you first start up the machine, you just hit this alarm clear button.
Sorry,
And
how did you get the screen to come on? Maybe I missed that.
I just turn the power on at the main switch.
Oh, and that brings the screen on.
Yeah,
Okay. We
it's-
were just over there, so I just didn't see the
Oh,
screen
okay.
light up. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and this boots up with Linux, and then the actual application comes. Let me bring here.
Okay. Doc has some FOMO going on.
Here's. We want to say
What?
hi to Sierra.
What's that, girl?
There's the shop security system.
Stop, security dog.
Everything checks out.
Yep.
Okay, so our mold is heating currently, and we cleared the startup alarms with the machine.
Okay.
So what we want to do is turn on the pump power.
All right.
We actually don't need to turn that on right now, but more importantly, we need to turn on the heaters.
Okay.
So this is the nozzle heater, and then this is the pump motor.
Okay.
You'll see up here that all the lights for the depiction of the 2 injection unit nozzles
Right.
are green.
Does
And
that
it's-
B side really only have 1, 2, 3 of these block heaters in addition to the nozzle heater?
Yeah, because it's a smaller injection unit.
Oh, just the volume size is smaller?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, usually with these dual shot machines, the second shot is smaller than
The first one?
the substrate shot.
Oh, I got you. Okay,
So-
so one, like, basically this little one is meant to be like an overmold. This would be like your main
Yeah.
material for
Yeah,
what your
yeah.
item,
This is the foundation,
foundation. Okay.
and then this is the accent or the
the
yeah.
on top or
yeah.
material that sits on top. Okay,
It's
got
fairly
it.
unlikely that your second shot will be bigger than your first base or substrate shot.
Okay, got it.
In our case, though, they are about the same size.
So anyway, this was the button that was heating up basically the block heating units here.
Yeah.
The nozzle, what was the nozzle heating, or does that come with that button as well?
Yeah. When you turn this on,
All of them go?
all of the heaters turn on.
Okay.
So, and then it's good to make sure that they're actually changing temperature. You know, usually if you see the nozzles are heating up because that's the smallest part,
Yeah.
then you're good.
Oh,
you
yeah.
didn't forget to flip the heater switch on.
Yeah, just while we were talking, it went from 70 to 83. So yeah, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we just wait for a little bit.
What's the target for these guys?
The target, if you want to see, you can look through this menu.
Okay.
So temperature,
Yeah.
and but it's grayed out right now. So
Yeah.
if you want to, it's sort of, you can read it there
Oh man, that
because
is.
this is in operator mode and not engineer mode.
Gotcha.
So if you want to go to, if you want to make changes, which
Yeah.
you probably won't need to, but you can go to setup
Yeah.
and then user
Yeah.
and then log in as engineer, which is 12. That's the default login.
Uh-huh.
And now if we go back to temperature,
Oh, you can see it.
You can see the temperature settings.
Oh, look, that gives you P, I, and D. Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, actually this is, I think that was a different area. So
Oh.
temperature. Oh, okay, here we go.
Okay, so this is your targets, whereas the
Yeah.
PID was the integration. And,
Yeah, and the
Okay.
temperature tolerance
So-
range.
okay, so this is, you'd read this as 430 plus 40 minus 30. Okay, so we're at 124, so we're driving to 430 with a 40 to 30 window. Okay,
Mhm.
cool.
And this is degrees Fahrenheit.
So we should be there pretty, like 10 minutes or so, right?
Yeah, that's pretty
Okay.
quick.
All right.
General operation, so we can play around with the operation of this machine. So since this is a dual shot, the first nozzle will inject the plastic substrate, which is still in the mold cavity from the last time we ran it. So what's going to happen is we're going to rotate this mold 180 degrees to line up with the second shot mold, which is that one back there.
Okay.
So we're in manual mode and our pump is on.
So, okay, so let me just refresh my memory about this. So the finger, basically the one going like this, is the manual mode,
Yes.
right? Okay, which is the automated, or there's a semi-automated, I think, is that?
Semi-automated
That's
is this
full
one?
automated, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And for this, the way this mold is configured, we're not going to do fully automatic. You're going to have to pluck the part and make sure it's out for every shot.
Okay.
Because basically these molds are set up for the big yellow KUKA robot
Yeah.
to pull the parts,
Yeah.
but I don't have it programmed. So we can probably, if you want to show it through the
Oh,
window.
the KUKA? Come.
Yeah.
Did you?
It was
I thought,
doing
I thought
pad
you,
printing
I thought,
before.
oh, I see. It's got pad printing on it instead of.
Yeah,
You do
and
have
I got to teach it to grab the part. And ultimately there's going to be a better extractor for the parts, but right now
Oh,
I didn't want to make these molds to run automatic for a person because the robot doesn't want the part to fall out. It
Yeah.
wants to grab it. So right now the person has to grab it in lieu of the robot doing it.
Okay.
Anyway, so manual mode, pump motor is on. We can rotate the platen to spin
Okay. These are
the
the
mold. Yeah.
These are the platen rotators.
Uh-huh.
So that moves basically these square molds get moved and rotated 180 with using these buttons.
Yeah. So why don't
Okay.
you hit this button right now? And you'll
This
see
one?
how it. Yeah, and then you'll. Oh, you got to hold the button down for the entire time. And hold it a little more.
Okay, yeah. I guess you need to hold it the whole duration of the rotation.
Yeah.
That would be helpful.
But there's one more operation. There's a pin, a locking pin that goes through that hole right there.
Okay.
And the pin is not engaged, so you want to be able to see that there's a red light there. So hit that same button some more, and you'll. There you go. So now there's a red light.
Okay.
So why don't you try that again? We can spin the mold with the substrate back to the front, and then
So
spin it back out to the other side again.
But we want to use that one to go with the other way direction.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
So keep your finger on it.
Until we go red.
Yeah.
All right, we got it red.
And you'll
Nice.
you'll start to get ear memory of the pin
Yeah.
going into the hole. But we don't want to shoot on this side, so flip it over to the other side again,
Okay.
just so you get a feel for
Oh yeah, I heard that lock in there.
it. Yeah.
That little. Okay.
Yeah, so now this configuration's ready to shoot the second rubber shot over the first substrate shot, and then the first injection unit will shoot the next substrate on this mold. So the two Bs are exact copies of each other. It's just A and B makes the different shapes for the different materials.
Yep.
And then closing the mold. One thing that we want to do is make sure that none of the parts are out of their cavity. So if they are, then I've got a rubber mallet. This guy.
What does that mean that they're out of their cavity? Like these are cavities, right?
Yeah.
So because the rubber part in there now looks like you have a rubber part in the cavity.
Polypropylene part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So for instance, you see this runner is sticking out a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you zoom in on that?
Yeah, sure. Hold on just a sec. Oh.
So
Yeah.
if you
so it's not
see,
flush.
the runner is not a big deal, but if one of the parts is actually pulled out of its cavity and kind of flopping around,
So one of the L's or something.
yeah,
Okay.
we don't want that to happen, because when we
Okay.
close it on the second mold and the part is not intimately seated in its cavity,
Yeah.
then it can damage the mold because it's going to be outside and it's smashed to infinitely thin plastic and then cause a dent in the mold.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Well,
your
I want
main purpose for running this particular configuration is to make sure that all of these parts are in their cavity. And the best way to do that is to just sight along the edge, and you should just see a continual plane. If you see one kicked out,
that's
then
bad
you gotta use this and tap it back in.
Use the hammer.
But I did a decent amount of work to make it fully automatic, so they shouldn't kick out anymore.
Okay.
But if you do see that, then you got to stop, open, and
Well,
then hit this.
let's go through the stopping
guy.
procedure in case I do see that. The stopping procedure would be what on the panel here? How would I stop
Well,
it?
since we're doing semi-automatic,
Yeah.
the machine, we'll get to that once our heaters are fully up and running. But it won't, it'll do one cycle and stop and wait for you to open and close the door.
Oh,
So
so it's
when you
gonna
open the
stop
door-
every time because we're in semi-automatic mode.
Yeah,
Okay.
when
got it.
when you open the door to extract the finished part from
Yeah.
back here,
Yep.
then you can check that all of the substrates
Okay.
are intimately seated in the cavity on the first shot.
Okay.
So it's you kind of do both at the same time.
Gotcha.
So this runner, I think, is just shrank too much because it's sitting here.
Yep.
So it's not going to go back in, but it'll. Oh, there it goes.
I personally
But
think
it's
it's
not
amazing
critical.
that you're not damaging your mold just doing that. But
Well, this is a rubber mallet
Yeah.
and it's a steel mold. So that's sticking out, but it'll, since it's a kind of a hemisphere, it'll find its home. But we
Right.
don't want like a piece of plastic totally out of its place.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
bad
closing.
news.
Yeah.
agreed.
So
Okay.
now what we're going to do is close the door. I'm just kind of showing you manual steps. Oh, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
And then if we want to close the mold, so we're currently in manual mode.
Yep.
This is setup mode, which we don't need to mess with anymore.
Right.
And
Because the
that-
recipe's set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you hit this, after you check that the mold is safe, for instance, you also want to make sure there's no rubber parts stuck
On that.
on,
the A
on
side?
these sides either.
Yep.
In fact, there is some remnant stuff there.
Yeah. Okay. But
Some
I would be
dust.
expecting like my my base material on this side, and then my over
top.
yeah, my over material on that side, right?
Well, this is actually the parts stick on this side, so this is just an impression.
Yeah.
And if you see parts here, then it's definitely a problem because they're not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
The same with that second mold. So all of the finished parts are going to be on the B side to be ejected off.
Okay. So even though we check on the A side, we're expecting if the parts to be pulled out would be on the B side.
Yeah, but
Okay.
every now and then there could be some problem, and you see a rubber part on the A side,
Yeah.
or if one of the plastic parts got hung up so bad on these little posts
Yeah.
that it ripped it completely off of the array and it's stuck over there, then we got to get it off of there.
No, that's bad news. Yep.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, so all the molds are clear, and we see a nice plane of no parts sticking out.
Okay.
So then you can hit mold close, which is this button right here.
Okay.
And you gotta hold it down until the mold closes.
So that's the open, right? Because we
Mhm.
see the opening, and then that's
Yeah.
the close. Okay, so we're gonna
And
close.
keep your finger on it. You hitting it?
Yep.
Huh. That's weird.
The door. There we go.
Oh, there you go.
The door might not be fully closed.
Okay, so you see this 134? That's the tonnage that is clamping the two molds together right now. The other thing you want to look at is back here, the toggle clamp. That plate, swash plate, is fully forward, and you actually see a pin touching that switch right there, that rocker switch. I guess right here. You can use my
The
that
reflection.
thing, that pin right there.
Yep.
That means the mold platinum fully closed.
Okay.
So to open it, you basically just hit mold open.
Yep. That one is a little pretty intuitive. All right.
There you go.
Perfect. How are we doing on temp? Okay, good. Looks like we got a couple flashing greens.
Yeah, we're
Getting
getting
there.
there. We may actually be pretty close.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of flashing green because it's getting into its acceptable range.
Yeah, it's turning
Yep.
the heaters on and off.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
I think Sierra's okay.
Yep.
Over here, we can talk about clearing the nozzle, even though it's a mess in there. We may not actually have to do that because this is polypropylene and Santoprene.
Okay.
So maybe we'll just try shooting apart without fussing with clearing the nozzle. A lot of times you clear out the old plastic so that you don't have problems with your first shot.
Oh,
and
you
to
got,
do that,
you got residuals in your nozzle. That's the concern.
yeah,
Okay.
to do that, you basically over on this side, this is the injection unit control area, and this is the mold control area. So you can, with in manual or setup, you can choose to back up your nozzle with this button. You see how it moved back? You can move it all the way out and then squirt plastic out.
I'm probably at the wrong angle to see that.
No, that's okay. But hopefully we don't even have to do that, because this is a pretty simple setup that we're doing. Or I guess I can just show you just for completeness. So I'm taking this injection unit all the way out until it hits its mechanical stop. And then I'm going to open this door to show the nozzle itself with all of the funk on it.
Yeah. So just to be clear, like that's where all the plastic's going to come out. And then this is the barrel and heater assembly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this little dial that you see here, I don't know if I can focus in on it, but it kind of gives you like a volume measurement of what's in your barrel. As
Yeah,
you do
your
as you
shot
do your
size.
shot. I always like to think of this as a giant glue gun.
Ah, it basically is.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this injection unit won't do anything if this safety gate is open.
Okay.
So this is the switch. It's a magnetic switch or inductive switch. And you gotta close it and then spin this knob so that the gate is closed.
Mm-hmm.
So we back the nozzle all the way out from the molding machine.
Yep.
So now we can, using this, what's up, Sierra? Using the carriage back button. Again, that's the, and we're all the way back.
Mm-hmm.
This button is inject plastic. So let's hit that.
Yeah, so on this one, like the little striped white volume is basically kind of like the plastic inside, right?
Yeah,
and then this
in a
is the
screw
shape.
auger.
And the
Yeah.
screw. Oh, it's supposed to be a screw auger.
So the black lines are the edge of the screw auger, and the white
Ah.
is the plastic that's in the screw auger.
Gotcha.
Sort of, but actually the shot is advanced ahead of the screw auger in like a kind of a piston with a check valve, but we don't need to get into that detail. But if you look up here,
Yeah.
so this is, since second is not lit up, then we're on injection unit number 1. So that is this indicator, this digital indicator right here. So this amount of lighter blue tells you how much plastic is ready to shoot out of the end of the nozzle.
Okay, so this is side 1 and this is side 2, and this is
Uh,
a pair.
Well, no, this would be injection unit number 1 are these two
Yeah.
icons, and injection unit number 2 are these icons.
Right. So this is this barrel system.
Is
and
this guy.
Is that guy?
Yeah,
That
this
guy.
is mold stuff over here, like mold open, ejector.
Oh, sorry. I was just these two
Oh
lines.
yeah, no, it's they orient it. It's
Ah,
organized
okay,
this
okay.
way, in
This way.
columns.
Okay, so these two columns correspond to that barrel, and then
Uh-huh.
these two columns right here correspond to the far barrel.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and then this is something else then.
Yeah, this is telling you the mold is open right now, and this is saying your ejector pins or ejector plate is all the way back, and this is a mold core, I think, or is that rotate? I'm not sure. And then that's eject 2.
Okay, but that doesn't map directly with which barrel.
No, not really.
Oh.
Well,
okay.
sort of. This is ejector 2, and it's down here on the bottom with injection unit number 2. So it kind of maps.
Okay.
Okay, so what we're going to do is squirt the plastic out of the nozzle. So if you want to hit this button, we'll squirt the polypropylene out.
Oh, which you can't see anything.
You can see up here that it'll squirt out or depict it.
Ah, there we go.
Okay. So to reload the injection unit, you hit the screw auger button, which is this button in the middle. And but you don't have to hold that one down. And you see how we loaded a new shot?
Oh, the shot's only like that big.
Yeah, well, it's not very big
That
parts.
Okay.
But whenever you do this, you need to clear out the plastic that you just shot between your nozzle and your mold.
Yeah, I can see some drool here.
So you
Oh,
need to
there's
get
some drool.
a tool. Again, you need to clean up around here.
Okay.
And it's hot,
Yep.
especially polypropylene will glue to you
Yeah.
while it's molten.
Yep.
Okay, so just get rid of that. Actually, so Sierra doesn't step on it here.
That's bad.
And then you do the same thing on the second injection unit as well, if you want.
Okay.
So this helps solve problems if you've got funky plastic or something's jammed up or partial shot, then you clean out your barrel and get fresh plastic.
Okay.
The rubber is pretty benign, so I don't think we need to do that process. Okay, so looking up here, basically all of our heating units are hot and they're flashing every now and then, which means they're topping off the heat. And our substrate B-side mold is in the second shot position, and we're loaded up with plastic. So if you want to hit the semi-automatic button, there you go. And it's prompting you to close the door and hit the push cycle start button. So
Okay,
the door is closed.
good. And where's the cycle start?
And it's you hit this
Start,
button
okay.
right here. This is my warning light for something else. And then keep an eye on the mold to look for any problems. And you want to check that the swash plate actually closed. And then you can see activity on the screen, what it's doing. So it basically just injected plastic in both molds, and now it's refilling both injection units with new plastic.
Okay, so you can see our new shots coming on.
Yeah, and this is in semi-automatic mode. You can see that this indicator is showing that it's still trying to fill a mold. So we didn't quite get to the shut-off. There we go. So if you're wondering why things are stalled out, this little icon up here is telling you what's happening. Okay, so now our mold opens, and the second ejector actuates to eject the part, which now is the double shot part.
I got stuck, huh?
Yeah, because ultimately the yellow robot's going to grab it and pull it out of there.
Okay.
But for your operation, you're basically going to be the robot.
Oh,
So
okay.
why don't you open the door? And I can, with this E-track cover, I basically just come in here and I just kind of,
Spatula that thing off.
yeah, just pop the thing off.
Oh wow, I gotta spatula off every single one.
Yeah, and
Per run,
see the
okay.
grease there on the, try to avoid
Avoid the
getting
grease.
on the part.
Ow.
And then we want to see that this is good.
Yeah.
Now you see, this is our first shot for the day,
Yeah.
so it underfilled on most of them.
Okay.
But that's okay. That normally happens with first shots. But we don't want to see one of these sticking out and crooked. So we still want to see that plane of no obstructions beyond like
Okay.
the parting line. And then when that looks
So,
good,
so I mean, this one has like a little bit here.
that's okay. It's
If it's on the runner, it's okay.
yeah, that's not a problem.
So it's just if
There's
there's
clearance in
something.
the other mold.
So yeah, we're undershot. You can tell that this is not.
Yeah, which is fine. It's just easier to run undershot parts than
Yeah. Okay.
trying to pull that out of there because it's
Okay.
designed to not be able to pull out
Yeah.
until the ejector on the second position ejects it out.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, so why don't you close the door? Now this is important to know,
Yeah.
is since you're still in semi-automatic mode,
Yep.
the machine is going to rotate the platen automatically and then do the second shot.
Okay.
If you hit setup or manual mode, then it kicks out of being ready to spin the mold 180 degrees for the second shot. So sometimes you do have to hit manual mode to deal with something, and then when you go back to semi-automatic mode, the machine's like, I don't know what
Where-
the status
where we
is.
are?
So it's gonna close this mold onto the first shot mold half again, because it doesn't know in its memory that it's time to spin. So if you have to go to manual mode, then you also have to spin the part 180 degrees manually as well,
Oh.
so that the substrate is on the second shot side. And we can demonstrate that. But why don't you hit start again, since we checked that everything's good. Oh, actually, let me. Yeah. So the A sides are good, and the B side part is nestled in its cavity, so you can hit start. And it, since it's still in semi-automatic mode, it knows I need to spin now. And then it spun, and now it's doing the over molding again. So it's making a new first substrate, and it's over molding the substrate that we just molded, which is an undershot. So we got to pull that one away and throw it away because it's defective.
Up here.
All right, here's a good example of a part that is not seated. See this guy right here? And then this one right there. So we want to convince it to go back home.
Oh, I see.
And it's almost completely aligned, so it's really, you just tap it and it follows into its pre-aligned cavity.
Okay. So the trick though is that you need to reseat before it rotates to get its top cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you gotta pull this one out. One of these is easier to eject than the other. Oh, we gotta put a bin down here too.
Yeah.
All right, let me show you what happens if you decide to get out of semi-automatic mode. So we're now in manual mode, and it's like, okay, and then you go back, okay, I did whatever it was I was doing. You hit this button, and then you hit start, and I'll show you how the best way to stop a machine that's about to crash the mold. So I'm gonna hit start, I'm gonna say, oh no, and then you just pull the door open. Instead of trying to figure out where the e-stop is, every molder just pulls the door open and it stops your mold from doing something you don't want it to do.
Okay.
And then you close the door and you have to clear the warning that said, hey, safety problem with the gate. So you hit the clear warning button and then you can open the mold back to where you want to be. Now the reason I opened this mold is because we were closing our first shot back on our mold half, but that first shot needs to go to the second side. But since we left the semi-automatic mode and went to manual, we now have to manually spin the plat in 180 degrees.
Right.
So why don't you do that?
So quick question. So you only have to do a manual spin if you do a manual interrupt. Like if I'm
Correct.
always in the semi-automatic mode, then I can start and stop as long as I don't move into manual.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
It's possible that the molding machine will time out
Okay.
and just say, you've been sitting too long and I shut my motors off.
Yeah, okay.
In which case, I think it dumps you into manual mode.
Okay.
And then just gotta,
Oh, I see. So if I walk away, go to the bathroom or something and come back and it's in manual mode, then I still need to kind of reset its memory where it is in the cycle.
You gotta
Okay.
configure it for it to, because it
Yeah,
doesn't know
okay.
anymore where it was.
Right. Gotcha.
Okay, so why don't you hit the rotate button since we
Okay. So we are both.
kicked into manual
Yeah.
mode.
So we're open, and what we're gonna do is do a. This is the rotate.
Yeah, you gotta hold that one down.
Okay, and then we got a red light. We know we're finished rotating, and we can see that we have the plastic, the what is that? Polyprop on the other side. And
It's all
we're
seated in its cavities.
Yep, and it's all seated, looking nice, and getting ready for its second layer of plastic. Okay, sounds good.
Yep, so,
So the thing is we had an interrupt and we're in manual mode right now, so it doesn't really know where it is in the process, and we want to get back to semi-automatic, right?
and we configured it such that it
And that it's ready, so the
thinks
molds
it's
are
in a safe spot.
right. So we can go ahead and hit this button, if I'm right, and it will start its injecting.
Yeah, once you hit the
Procedure.
start button.
So we're first, before hitting the start button, we're going to tell it we're going to move to semi-automatic. And then we're going to hit the start button to say, get going on your cycle.
Yes.
All right, let's see what we got. Looking good so far.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, we had to manually move the second shot to the second side.
Right.
Now, if you hit fully automatic, then it's just going to spin and keep spinning. And if you didn't pull the part out, it's going to spin the overmolded part back to the first position and try to close on it.
That'd be bad.
So we don't want that.
Okay,
Because
so we got our second layer of plastic on the far one, and we got a new polyprop on the first one, closest to us. So now
since you're holding the camera,
Yeah.
with the spatula.
we're going to
And
scrape out that.
I see this one is sticking out a little bit, but a lot of times I just use my fingernail to pump it in, or to bump it in, not the front of my finger because it may have oils. Oh, sorry, it was pretty minor. It was just feathered out a little bit.
Oh, you got any of them that you see that are feathered? I kind of want to just.
No, that was it.
Oh, okay.
We shouldn't really see them anymore because
Okay.
hopefully I fixed it all.
All right.
And then again, we'll just flip that guy out of there.
Okay.
And we closed the door, but we never exited semi-automatic.
Right. So we didn't hit that. So it recalls where it is in the whole procedure.
Yeah, it's keeping track.
It's keeping track. So really, what we can do here is we don't have to toggle. We can just hit start, and it will.
Yeah, once you visually inspect
Theoretically do the
that
right
everything
thing.
is safe.
Which-
All 4 mold cavities or surfaces need to be checked.
Okay, so what we're looking for is any like plastic residuals, anything sticking out in weird angles. And I see that it looks good, so I'm going to go ahead and hit start.
Okay.
With the master eyeing it for me.
There we go.
Yeah.
We're gonna watch what happens up there.
Yep. We see our shots reloading here.
Yep. Oh, and keeping an eye on the mold temperature is good too.
So 160 is about right for this mold set.
Yeah, Fahrenheit.
All right.
Okay,
so-
now this is a case where I've got an anchor on the base of the ejector pin for the sprue, and sometimes it pulls the part all the way back into the mold. So here, oh, and actually, this part right here is wanting to stick out
let me
slightly.
put my finger so that I understand, so I got it feeling. Oh, okay. So yeah, that's almost like half mil up.
Yeah, it'd probably be okay, but it's still better to just.
You're
tap
undershot
in.
here, actually.
That's fine. Yeah, as we
not a big deal.
start up, we're gonna have
A couple
a few
undershots.
undershots.
Okay.
So why don't you take care of that one?
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a heavy hammer. Okay,
I
but
get
we're
it.
gonna
It's small
tap that guy back in there.
You can whack on it pretty good. There you go.
Okay.
So this,
Let me just feel it, make sure. Yeah. Okay.
all right. So we're gonna have to go into setup mode now
Why is that?
because I can't get this spatula under the part because the anchor for the sprue pulled the plastic part all the way back into the mold. So if we, for instance, if I go to manual mode
Yeah.
and then we have to hit second for the second ejector because this is the first ejector which doesn't do anything. It's turned off. Then if I hit the eject forward button right now, why don't you? It will go through its. Oh, okay. It'll go through its cycle, and if you let go of it, so for instance, if I say eject, and then I let go, oh, it actually stayed open. Oh, so we don't need to do setup mode. Anyway, so if you can't get that part to come out, then what you do is you hit the eject button. It plays its little sequence,
Yeah.
and you can release at the time when the pins are forward so that you can knock the part out. Let me demonstrate. So I'm just gonna hold this down
Yeah.
and then release while the pins were forward before it got the command to retract the pins.
Oh, you want the pins to be sticking out
Yeah.
and
so
holding
that
the
I
part
can-
out,
So I
and
can
then
knock,
just don't screw up the pins whenever you do the.
correct. Yeah, they're pretty robust.
Okay.
But there's an undercut on this center ejector pin, which can keep the part stuck in there. So
Okay. So the original problem that you're trying to solve with that is that the pins didn't push out the part enough to do the scraper. Is that right?
well, no, there's an undercut on the center ejector pin that pulls the whole part back into the mold.
And how did you tell that?
Huh?
Well, I don't-
Because it was completely flush again, and I couldn't I wouldn't be able to get the scraper
Okay,
under.
so basically you didn't have, there was no void between
Right.
the polyprop and the metal
Yeah, there's no pry
cavity.
gap.
No pry gap, okay.
Yeah.
And then that's why you did these two pin things to
Yeah.
basically push the part out, get the gap, and then
Mhm.
you could get that spatula basically
Correct.
in there to get the part out.
Yeah. And now to retract the pins. Well, the molding machine will always pull its pins back before it moves the mold forward. It's
Yeah.
just a fundamental safety.
Okay.
But we can just hit ejector pin back
All
and
right,
it pull them all back.
all right,
But now we're in manual mode, so we have to manually spin the mold.
right. We're gonna reset because the molding machine doesn't remember where it is in the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then we hit semi-automatic
Yep.
and start.
Start. All right.
And that's it.
Sounds good.
And then to shut this system down, basically you just turn the heat and the power, the motor and the heaters off.
Okay.
You wait a few seconds after you turn the motor off before you shut off the main power, the control valve, and then unplug the mold heater so that it's safe.
And the mold heater is the three-phase?
Yeah, it's a twist lock plug on the wall. And then that's it.
Okay.
And then we will replace you with the yellow robot post haste. But yeah, that's it. Any questions?
No, I think we're good. So
Oh,
how
I
long,
guess I'll just
one
demonstrate
quick,
shutting
one
it
quick
off.
question
So
is like
heater off.
Oh.
Oh, actually, you got to get into manual mode
Oh,
to turn off the heater and the motor.
okay.
And if you want to turn the heaters off here locally, flip that off, and then you see that the current meter is no longer bouncing. Or you can flip it all off.
Okay. Well, one quick question would be, how long could I hang out with the door open and not cycle it without burning my plastic inside the injection?
Oh, with this it'd be like 20 minutes or so.
20 minutes?
Yeah, the plastic is pretty robust,
Okay.
and it's kind of low temperature. It may be slightly discolored, but it's not the end of the world. You
You
don't
just-
really want to do that, but yeah.
Okay. But if I'm doing if I need to go do something for like 2 hours, though, I need to fully power it down.
Oh, no, you don't need to power down the whole machine. You just turn the heater off and the pump motor off.
Okay.
And then you'll see that these will start drifting down the temperatures on your display.
Okay.
And then when you come back, you just turn it back on again.
Okay.
Now, when you do that, you may get some short shots or bad parts, you
Yeah.
know, because the plastic is drooled out maybe, or who
Right.
knows what.
But I don't really need to do that whole nozzle flush or anything.
Actually, if you're gonna leave for a little bit, it is a good idea to back the nozzles off of the mold. Otherwise, the plastic is gonna drool into the sprue of the mold itself and plug it.
Oh.
And then you've got to burn it out, or it's kind of a pain. So yeah, actually, if you leave for a long time and you shut down the machine, then you want to back the nozzles out. The second was highlighted, so the second injection unit moved back. We turn off the second, and now the first nozzle will move back, or carriage, not nozzle. Well, nozzle and carriage. So you back them off a little bit.
Okay.
But when you do that, and then you come back to start up again, you want to back these all the way out, and then look to make sure that there's not a chunk of plastic that drooled out and will obstruct the nozzle from meeting the mold. Because then it'll just blow more plastic back there, and then you wind up with a basketball of plastic before you realize that,
Okay.
oh, I'm not actually shooting
So
parts.
if I come back and I check that and I see that I've got like a plug or something, then I do this whole procedure here where I inject a little bit, or I squirt out through the nozzle, and then I get the hot.
You don't necessarily need to squirt out through the nozzle if you think the plastic is reasonably robust. Like a normal heat up cycle would result in probably some short shots and things like that. If you want to minimize short shots, then you can purge the plastic and get
Oh.
fresher plastic.
Yeah, sorry. What
But-
I meant was if I back up the carriage and nozzle, and then there's a little plug,
Yeah.
then should I go ahead and try to flush the plug by doing
No,
this?
you can just kind of scrape it off of the hot nozzle.
Oh, okay.
It'll
But-
just fall off. Or,
Okay, so this is-
or you can pluck it off.
So this is not necessarily needed, but just make sure that the nozzle is clear before it goes into the mold.
Because
Okay.
when it's heating up, it could be drooling out plastic, and you'll wind up with like a, a big marble or a golf ball size of plastic.
Okay.
And when you want to move the nozzle towards your mold, that ball of plastic can get dragged along and then jam up and be a
it's
problem.
mess. Yeah.
So it's best just to check both your nozzles before you do anything. So
Okay.
I'll back these all the way out so you can look. And that's it.
Okay, cool.
And then we shut off the motor and flip off the power at the back. I usually leave these vacuum loaders plugged in, and we need to get you more plastic for the rubber and the polypropylene. And that's it. So that is the startup and operation, I guess, 101 beginner for the high-TN dual shot machine from Dragonfly Engineering. Thanks for watching.
Yay!
You want to say goodbye, Sierra? All right. Goodbye.